The execution platform floated above the capital world, cold and silent, surrounded by the endless black of space. Bright lights shone down on a single figure standing in the center. She was small compared to the massive structures around her. Her hands were bound. Her body was weak, but her mind was clear. She knew this was the end. Across the galaxy, billions watched. Every screen showed the same image. The same moment. The same fear. She was an alien, judged guilty by the Galactic Council. Her crime was not violence. She had not attacked anyone. Her only crime was being born on a world that once stood in the path of human expansion. That was enough. In this galaxy, humans decided who lived and who died. The crowd was silent. No cheers. No anger. Only expectation. Everyone knew what humans were said to be. Cold. Efficient. Merciless. When humans were chosen as executioners, there was never a delay. A heavy sound echoed across the platform as the human soldier stepped forward. His armor was dark, marked with signs of old battles. Scratches ran across his chest plate. His boots struck the metal floor with slow, steady steps. He carried a weapon powerful enough to end her life in less than a second. She did not look at him at first. She stared at the floor, focusing on her breathing. Her heart was beating fast, but her face remained calm. She had seen this moment in her dreams many times. Always the same ending. The council leader spoke, their voice loud and clear, translated into every known language. The sentence was read. The charge was repeated. The punishment was final. The human stopped a few steps away from her. She slowly raised her head. Her eyes met his for the first time. His face was human, just as the story said. Pale skin. Tired eyes. A face that looked too calm for someone about to kill. There was no anger in his expression. No hate. That somehow made it worse. She closed her eyes. This was it. The weapon powered on with a low hum. The sound traveled through the air and into her bones. Around the galaxy, viewers leaned closer to their screens. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Proof that humans were exactly what everyone feared. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. She opened her eyes slightly, confused. The human was still there. The weapon was raised, but his finger was not moving. His posture was steady, but something had changed. His eyes were no longer focused on his target. They were focused on her face. A quiet murmur spread through the crowd. The council members exchanged uneasy looks. This delay was not normal. The council leader repeated the command, sharper this time. The human did not react. He lowered his weapon just a little. The galaxy froze. No one understood what they were seeing. Human executions were clean and fast. Humans did not hesitate. Humans did not question orders. That was what the galaxy believed. The alien woman felt a strange feeling rise in her chest. It was not hope. Hope was dangerous. Hope had been gone for a long time. It was something else. Confusion. The human took a slow breath. Across space, alarms quietly activated in human fleets. High-ranking officers watched the feed in silence. This moment was being recorded. Remembered. Judged. The human looked at the council. Then back at the prisoner. He spoke, his voice calm, steady, and clear. I will not do this. The words echoed louder than any weapon. Gasps filled the chamber. Some shouted in anger. Others in fear. The council demanded obedience. They threatened punishment. They warned of consequences. The human did not move. He stood between the galaxy and a single life. And in that moment, the galaxy began to realize something was very wrong with everything it thought it knew about humanity. This was not the execution they expected. And it was only the beginning. Silence spread across the execution platform, heavy and uncomfortable. The humans' words still echoed in the air. Across the galaxy, billions stared at their screens, unsure of what they had just heard. A human refusing an execution was something no one had prepared for. The Galactic Council reacted first. Their seats shifted as members leaned forward, anger and fear mixing in their voices. Orders were repeated, louder and sharper. They demanded the human obey. They reminded him that the law was absolute and punishment for disobedience was severe. The human did not answer. The alien woman stood frozen. Her body was still tense, ready for pain that had not come. Her eyes moved slowly, trying to understand what was happening. She had lived her entire life believing humans were death-given form. Every story, every warning, every historical record said the same thing. Humans never stopped once they decided someone must die. Yet here he stood, unmoving. Across distant star systems, old memories surfaced. Images of human fleets burning enemy worlds filled the minds of those watching. Entire civilizations had fallen after underestimating humanity. The galaxy had learned one lesson well: never expect mercy from humans. That fear had kept order. Now that fear was shaking. On the platform, the council leader accused the human of weakness. They claimed emotions had corrupted him. They said this hesitation proved humans could not be trusted with authority. The human slowly turned his head toward them. His voice was calm, but firm. "You trust us with war," he said. "You trust us with destruction. But you panic when we choose restraint." The words hit harder than any threat. The council tried to cut the transmission. For a moment, screens across the galaxy flickered. Then the signal stabilized again. Human systems had overridden the interruption. In orbit above the capital world, human warships waited. Their weapons were fully powered, but no targeting locks activated. That alone unsettled military commanders across the stars. Human fleets were known for striking first, not waiting. The alien woman felt her knees weaken. She had been ready to die. Now she was forced to stand in a moment she did not understand. Her breath shook. Fear slowly mixed with something unfamiliar. The human stepped closer to her, placing himself directly between her and the council. This act sent a wave of shock through the crowd. He was no longer just refusing an order. He was making a choice. The council warned him one last time. Disobedience, they said, would lead to war. Humans would be labeled enemies of the galaxy. The human paused. Then he spoke again. "You already see us as monsters," he said. "So let me show you the difference between fear and control." Across space, human commanders received a single message. 3 simple words. Stand down weapons. One by one, human fleets powered down their main cannons. Energy levels dropped. Targeting systems went dark. The galaxy watched in disbelief as the most feared military force ever known chose not to fight. Panic spread faster than fear. Council members argued among themselves. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others realized something worse was happening. Humans were not being stopped. They were stopping themselves. The alien woman finally spoke, her voice weak but clear. She asked the human why. He looked at her, not as a soldier, but as a person. "Because killing you changes nothing," he said. Those words traveled across the galaxy, settling deep into the minds of every species listening. For centuries, power had meant violence. Control had meant destruction. Humanity was showing something else. And that terrified the galaxy more than war ever had. Because if humans could choose mercy, what else could they choose next? The galaxy had trusted fear to keep humans predictable. Now fear no longer worked. And no one knew what would replace it. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Voices overlapped. Commands were shouted. Threats filled the air, sharp and desperate. The calm that once ruled the platform was gone, replaced by fear that had no direction. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council was losing control of a public execution. The human stood unmoved at the center of it all. He kept his body between the council and the alien woman. It was a simple action, but it carried a weight the galaxy could feel. A human shielded someone the galaxy had already condemned. That image alone spread faster than any message ever sent. Across distant systems, rulers and generals argued. Some demanded immediate action against the human fleet. Others warned that attacking now would mean total war. Human ships were still armed. They were still capable of erasing entire worlds. They had simply chosen not to. That choice frightened everyone. The alien woman felt her legs tremble. She had survived battles, hunger, and loss, but this moment was heavier than all of it combined. Every belief she had ever known was breaking apart in front of her. She had been raised to accept one truth: when humans arrived, survival ended. Yet here she was, breathing. The council leader finally regained control of the chamber. Their voice cut through the noise, cold and sharp. They declared the human guilty of treason against galactic law. They ordered his immediate arrest. Security forces moved. They were not human. They were council-controlled units, fast and well-armed, trained to suppress rebellions. As they stepped onto the platform, tension surged. The crowd leaned forward. Many believed this would be the moment humans responded with force. They were wrong. The human raised one hand, slowly, calmly. A silent signal. Every human ship in orbit locked shields into defensive mode only. No weapons powered up. No attack followed. The security units hesitated. They had never faced this situation before. Humans were not reacting as expected. There was no rage. No threat. Only refusal. The human spoke again, his voice steady but louder now, carried across every channel. "This council claims to speak for the galaxy," he said. "But it fears a single human saying no." The word struck deep. The council tried to respond, but the crowd was no longer silent. Whispers spread. Questions followed. Some began to wonder why this alien deserved death at all. Others wondered how many executions before this had been wrong. The alien woman felt something warm on her face. She reached up and realized she was crying. Not from fear, but from the shock of being seen as more than a symbol. More than a warning. The human turned slightly toward her. "You are not their message," he said quietly. "And you are not mine." The security units lowered their weapons. That moment shattered something ancient and powerful. Authority. Fear. Control. All weakened by a single decision not to kill. Across the galaxy, smaller species watched and learned. Some felt hope for the first time. Others felt danger. If humans could ignore the council, then the council was no longer absolute. The council leader made one final attempt. They accused humanity of preparing a greater deception. Mercy, they claimed, was only a delay before domination. The human shook his head. "We already have power," he said. "We are choosing how to use it." That truth hit harder than any threat. The execution platform was no longer a place of death. It had become a stage where the galaxy's future was being rewritten in real time. And the galaxy realized something terrifying. This was not rebellion. This was humanity setting its own rules. And no one knew how to stop it. The execution platform no longer felt like a place of judgment. It felt like a breaking point. The crowd's silence had changed. It was not the quiet of fear anymore, but the quiet of minds trying to understand something new. The council had lost its rhythm. Orders came late. Voices shook. Authority, once unchallenged, now sounded unsure. The human remained where he was, calm and unmoving. His weapon stayed lowered. He did not threaten. He did not argue. He simply stood still, as if time itself had decided to pause around him. In orbit, human fleets held position. Shields were up. Weapons stayed offline. This was not weakness. Every commander across the galaxy knew it. Human ships could activate in seconds. The restraint was a choice, and choices made by powerful beings were far more dangerous than reflexes. The alien woman watched the human from just behind his shoulder. Her breath had slowed. Her fear had changed shape. She no longer feared dying. She feared believing. Because belief could break a person faster than death. The council tried a new tactic. They spoke of balance. They spoke of order. They warned that if execution stopped, chaos would spread. They blamed humans for pushing the galaxy toward instability. The human listened. Then he answered. Order built on fear is already broken, he said. Those words traveled far. On distant worlds, leaders replayed the moment again and again. The message was simple. Clear. Hard to deny. The galaxy had depended on fear for too long. A council member demanded to know who gave the human the right to decide life and death. The human replied quietly, the same power you used to take it. That truth landed like a weight. The council realized their mistake too late. By choosing a human as executioner, they had invited human judgment into their system. They believed humans would only follow orders. They forgot that humans had always questioned them. The alien woman stepped forward for the first time. The restraints around her wrists released with a soft click. No one had ordered it. The system did it on its own. Automated safeguards detected a failed execution and moved to the next protocol. Freedom. The sound echoed across the platform. Gasps filled the air. Some cried out in protest. Others stared in disbelief. A few bowed their heads. The council shouted to stop it, but the system ignored them. It was built on rules, and the rules no longer supported the council's will. The human did not touch her. He did not guide her. He simply stepped aside and gave her space. That simple act sent a message stronger than any speech. She was not under his control. Across the galaxy, reactions divided. Some worlds celebrated quietly. Others prepared defenses. Fear returned, but it was different now. This fear was not of violence. It was fear of uncertainty. If humans would not act as expected, then all predictions failed. The council announced an emergency session. They demanded human representatives appear for judgment. The message was meant to sound strong. It sounded hollow. The human turned away from the council and looked out toward the stars. He knew this moment would define everything that followed. Not because of war. Because of restraint. He spoke one last time before the transmission cut. We are not here to rule you, he said. But we will not become what you expect us to be. The feed ended. Across the galaxy, silence followed. The execution platform drifted alone in space, no longer a symbol of death, but of something far more unsettling. Power had stood still. And the universe did not know how to move forward anymore. The execution platform drifted in silence, slowly rotating against the stars. The broadcast had ended, but its impact continued to spread faster than any fleet ever could. Across the galaxy, governments paused. Armies waited. Entire civilizations held their breath. Nothing like this had ever happened before. The alien woman stood free, her wrist still marked where the restraints had been. She looked around, half expecting the moment to end, half expecting someone to correct this mistake and drag her back. But no one came. The council forces had withdrawn. The platform was empty except for her and the fading echo of a human choice. She did not cheer. She did not run. She simply stood there, alive, in a universe that had already decided she should not be. On distant worlds, historians began recording the moment. Not as an execution. Not as a rebellion. But as a turning point. The day humanity showed the galaxy that fear was not their true weapon. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Their chamber was filled with panic disguised as debate. Some demanded punishment. Others feared escalation. For the first time, the Council could not agree on a single action. Their power had depended on predictability. Humanity had shattered that. Human representatives did not appear. That absence spoke louder than any threat. Instead, a single human message was transmitted across open channels. It was not a warning. It was not a demand. It was a statement. Humanity would no longer serve as the galaxy's executioner. Reactions exploded. Some species felt relief. Others felt exposed. Smaller worlds, once crushed under council authority, quietly celebrated. Larger empires felt something worse than fear. They felt uncertain. The alien woman was escorted away days later, not by soldiers, but by neutral observers. Her survival became a symbol shared across secret networks and quiet conversations. Proof that the Council's judgment was not absolute. Proof that humans were not what the galaxy had decided they were. Human fleets began withdrawing from Council space. Not in retreat. In refusal. They no longer enforced laws they did not believe in. They did not threaten. They did not explain. They simply stepped back. That action changed everything. Without humans to carry out its harshest decisions, the Council's authority weakened. Disputes lasted longer. Negotiations became necessary. Violence became costly again. Fear lost its edge. Across the stars, the phrase began to spread. The day the human said no. The human soldier was never named in public records. He did not seek praise. He returned to service and said little about the event. But among humans, his choice was understood. Not as defiance. As alignment. Humanity had always known its own strength. The galaxy had only seen one side of it. Now they had seen another. The alien woman later stood before her people and told them the truth. Not that humans were kind. Not that humans were gentle. But that humans chose. And that choice made them unpredictable in the most dangerous way possible. The galaxy adjusted slowly. Some tried to challenge humanity. They failed. Not because humans attacked, but because humans refused to play the old games. Power no longer looked like destruction. It looked like control. Years later, when children asked why the galaxy changed, the answer was always the same. Because one human refused to kill. And the stars learned that day that mercy, when chosen freely, could be more terrifying than war. The galaxy never froze again. It simply learned to be careful when humans were watching.